The stars above Earth shined brightly the night the Treaty of Unity was signed. Across cities, humans celebrated with lights, music, and hope. It had been a long war, years of fighting against alien empires that saw humanity as nothing more than a growing threat. But now, with signatures from the Galactic Council, there was peace. Earth's leaders shook hands with alien ambassadors. Words like trust, future, and cooperation filled the air. It felt like a new beginning. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, not everyone shared that joy, and some never planned to keep the treaty at all. Far from Earth, on the edge of human space, a small colony named Novastone lived in quiet peace. Farmers, scientists, engineers, families who had left Earth to build something new. They believed the war was truly over. Children played under twin suns, and ships brought supplies from nearby planets. There were no soldiers, no weapons, just hope. The treaty had promised protection from all council members. If anyone attacked, the full strength of the alliance would answer. That's what the papers said. That's what every human believed. Until the sky turned red. Without warning, strange ships appeared above Novastone. They didn't carry flags. No warnings were given. Within seconds, the colony's defense systems were destroyed. Communication towers burned. Civilians ran for shelter, but nowhere was safe. The attackers moved fast, cold, and without mercy. A single emergency signal escaped. Barely. A young technician named Mira Tran sent a coded message just before her station exploded. Her last words were simple. "They're not who we thought. Novastone is lost." Back on Earth, the message caused confusion and disbelief. Council members blamed pirates. Others said it was a mistake, maybe a local rebellion. But human intelligence officers recognized the ships from Mira's final image. The attackers were Council-allied fleets, the same allies who had signed the peace treaty. The betrayal was clear, but the response was silence. Human leaders demanded answers in an emergency meeting with the Council. The chamber was cold, filled, with long faces and short words. One ambassador shrugged and called it an unfortunate accident. Another warned Earth not to overreact. "Peace is fragile," they said. "Don't break it with blame." But Earth's president, Elias Moreau, said nothing. His silence wasn't weakness. It was calculation. Behind closed doors, the Terran Defense Corps reviewed the data. The ships, the weapons, the timing. It was planned. Novastone wasn't just attacked. It was a race to send a message. Humanity's expansion was becoming too fast, too strong. The Council had seen Earth rise, and they were afraid. The treaty had never been about peace. It was about slowing Earth down. Still, Earth did not strike back. The media was told Novastone suffered a cosmic event. Survivors were unknown. Officially, Earth said nothing. But in secret, things began to move. Factories shifted, from trade ships to war vessels. Satellites watched Council worlds. AI defense systems, once hidden, were brought online. Every citizen still believed in peace. But their leaders had already buried the treaty. Months passed. No more attacks came. The Council believed their warning had worked. Earth was quiet. Too quiet. Some joked that humans had finally learned their place. Others said nothing but watched their borders a little more closely. They didn't know that Earth's silence was not surrender. It was a storm building slowly, far from their eyes. In a hidden base on the moon, Commander Rhea Cade stood in front of a map filled with red marks. She remembered Novastone. She had grown up there. Her parents had sent her away to military school just before the colony was destroyed. Now her face was calm, but her eyes burned. Around her stood soldiers, engineers, and scientists, not for war, but for something bigger, smarter, terrifying. Revenge was coming. But it would not be loud, it would not be proud, it would be planned, patient, and perfect. The treaty was broken the day Novastone fell. But humanity did not cry. It did not beg. It waited. And when the time came, the stars would remember what silence had hidden. Not fear, but fire. The silence after Novastone's destruction was heavy and strange. No one in the Galactic Council spoke about what had happened. No rescue fleets were sent. No official investigation was opened. The human people waited for answers, but all they received was quiet. That silence was not peace. It was a warning. It screamed louder than any weapon. On Earth, the news was carefully controlled. The government told the public that life went on, that humanity was safe. But hidden beneath the calm surface, fear and anger grew. Families of missing colonists demanded the truth. Scientists and military leaders studied the tiny piece of data that escaped from Novastone, the coded message from Mira Tran. It was a call for help, and it was proof that the Council had betrayed them. The Galactic Council refused to respond to Earth's demands. Alien ambassadors smiled in meetings but said nothing about the attack. They acted as if nothing had changed. But the humans knew better. The treaty was dead, broken without apology. As days turned into weeks, more secret messages reached Earth. Pilots and spies reported strange movements near human borders. Fleets from the Council's strongest members were gathering quietly. It was a show of force, a message: back down or be destroyed. But Earth did not back down. Instead, they prepared. Commander Rhea Cade became the leader of a secret task force. She and her team worked in shadows, building ships faster than anyone expected. New weapons, sharper and smarter than before, were tested in hidden asteroid fields. The Terran Defense Corps trained soldiers in ways never shared with the public. The treaty's promise of peace was a lie, and now Earth planned to fight in silence. At the same time, Earth's diplomats tried to keep a face of calm. Publicly, they spoke of hope and cooperation. But behind closed doors, they warned, "If the Council will not protect us, we will protect ourselves." Scientists accelerated research into dark energy and new technology stolen from enemy wreckage. Slowly, Earth's power was growing, ready for a storm the galaxy would not expect. The Galactic Council grew nervous. They noticed that transmissions were blocked or delayed near human space. Their spies reported unusual activity on the moon and in deep space. Some began to doubt if the treaty was worth the cost. One alien leader whispered to a friend, "The humans are waking up, and they are not the same species we once fought." Humanity waited patiently. They watched the skies but never fired first. The broken treaty did not make them weak. It made them cautious. They were learning their enemy, studying their mistakes. And every moment of silence was a breath before the storm. In one secret base, Commander Cade stood before her soldiers. "We were betrayed," she said simply, "but we will not break. We will show them that peace built on lies is no peace at all." Her words were quiet, but inside every heart, fire grew stronger. The silence that followed Novastone was a promise. Not of peace, but of revenge, and humanity was ready to answer. For years, the galaxy believed humanity was frozen by fear after the attack on Novastone. They thought Earth would bow quietly, accepting the silence and moving on. But they were wrong. Humanity was only waiting for the perfect moment to rise again. Far from the bright cities and busy worlds in the cold darkness of space, Terran ships vanished from their usual patrols. No alarms were raised. No one knew where they went. But these ships were not lost or destroyed. They were gathering, in secret at a hidden base on Pluto's largest moon, Charon. Here, far from prying eyes, a new force was forming. Commander Rhea Cade walked through the dim corridors of the base. The walls hummed with power, and blueprints of advanced weapons lit up the screens around her. Every ship was being equipped with technology no alien had ever seen before: stealth shields that could hide them from sensors, engines that could jump through space faster than light, and weapons that could strike without warning. The people in the base were not just soldiers. They were scientists, engineers, and strategists, working together. They shared one goal: to prepare humanity for the fight they knew was coming. The broken treaty had been a trap. Now it was time to turn that trap into a weapon. News of the hidden fleet reached Earth's leaders through secret channels. President Elias Moreau watched the reports with calm eyes. He knew the galaxy thought humans were weak. They believed the silence after Novastone was surrender. But Earth was ready to show them the truth. Meanwhile, on the Council worlds, rumors began to spread. Alien leaders whispered about the strange disappearances of Terran ships. Some feared a new war was coming. Others tried to convince the Council to investigate. But no one wanted to admit how little they understood about humanity's new power. In the cold halls of the hidden base, Commander Cade gathered her team. "We will not rush," she said. "We will wait for the right moment. When we strike, it will be without warning and with full force. We will remind the galaxy why they feared humans before." As the months passed, training grew more intense. Pilots practiced silent attacks. Engineers perfected new weapon systems. Every member of the fleet understood the stakes. This was not just revenge, it was survival. The galaxy watched and waited, unaware that the quiet humans had already built a storm in the shadows. They thought Earth was silent, but in truth it was only the calm before the fire. And when the time came, humanity's brilliant revenge would begin. In the cold darkness of space, the mysterious ship Eclipse moved like a shadow. No lights, no signals, just silence. It slipped past enemy patrols with ease, as if it was a ghost. No one knew who built it or where it came from. All they saw was the destruction it left behind, and fear quickly spread across the Council worlds. The Eclipse did not attack like other warships. It did not fire powerful lasers or drop bombs. Instead, it used a secret weapon, a weapon that disabled enemy systems without a fight. In one swift move, the Eclipse shut down the largest communication hub in the Council's space. Suddenly, entire fleets were blind and silent, unable to coordinate or respond. Panic exploded. Alien commanders scrambled their ships trying to find the invisible attacker, but the Eclipse had vanished. It left behind only a single message, broadcast across every enemy frequency. "The treaty is broken. The war begins." On Earth, Commander, Rhea Cade watched the news with a steady gaze. The Eclipse was the first strike in humanity's plan, calculated, precise, and unexpected. It showed the galaxy that humans were no longer afraid of war. They were ready to fight on their own terms. The Council's leaders were stunned. They had thought the humans weak and quiet. They had believed the silence after Novastone meant surrender. But now they faced a new enemy, one who struck from the shadows and refused to follow old rules. In secret meetings, Council ambassadors debated what to do next. Some wanted to send diplomats to beg for peace. Others pushed for immediate retaliation. But fear had taken root. The Eclipse's attack was a message not just of war, but of power no one understood. Alien soldiers whispered in their ranks, "Who is this human commander? What else do they have hidden?" Doubt spread quickly. The old alliances began to crack as leaders questioned if they could trust each other against this new threat. Meanwhile, on Earth and in hidden bases, scientists worked to build more ships like the Eclipse. The future was uncertain, but humanity's course was clear. The broken treaty was not the end. It was the beginning of a new chapter, written in silence, shadow, and fire. The galaxy had finally seen the first sign of humanity's brilliant revenge. And it was only just beginning. The Galactic Council grew restless and afraid. They had spent years watching Earth quietly, believing the humans were broken by the loss of Novastone and the silence that followed. But the sudden attack by the Eclipse shattered that illusion. Now every council leader feared what Earth might do next. Secret meetings took place in the darkest corners of the council's great halls. Ambassadors and commanders whispered about the new weapons Earth had hidden, the secret fleets gathering in the outer system, and the deadly silence before the storm. Some leaders tried to calm the panic. "We must keep the peace," they said. "War will destroy us all." But others warned, "If we don't act now, Earth will control the galaxy." Rumors leaked to the public. Earth was no longer the simple planet they once knew. Terran scientists had uncovered dark energy weapons, AI war machines, and technology stolen from defeated enemies. The humans had been preparing for years, quietly growing stronger while others watched. The broken treaty was only the beginning of something much larger. In a closed chamber, a council ambassador turned to his peers and said quietly, "We did not break the treaty. We lit the fire. Now we must decide if we will be burned by it or learn to live with the flames." Fear spread quickly through the council worlds. Old allies began to doubt each other. Spies reported strange activity near borders. Plans for defense grew desperate. Some worlds tried to reach out to Earth, hoping to negotiate peace before the next attack. But Earth was no longer interested in words. Their silence had changed to action. On Earth, Commander Rhea Cade watched the council's fear grow. She knew the galaxy was beginning to understand. Humanity was not just fighting to survive. They were fighting to rule their own destiny. The broken treaty was a symbol of betrayal, and now the council would pay for their mistake. Every day, new ships rolled off assembly lines armed with weapons no one had seen before. Soldiers trained harder, ready to face whatever the council would throw at them. The galaxy was changing, and Earth was leading the way, quietly, patiently, and without mercy. The council's fear was real. They had seen the first signs of humanity's brilliant revenge, and they knew it was only a matter of time before the full storm hit. The sky above the enemy worlds burned a fierce Terran blue, signaling a war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The silence was shattered not by distant warnings, but by the sudden, unstoppable force of humanity's fleet. Ships moved like shadows through space, fast and quiet, striking hard and vanishing before any response could come. Enemy planets fell one after another. Their defenses, once thought unbeatable, were broken with surprising ease. The Terran commanders did not shout orders or boast about their victories. Instead, they sent a simple message before each attack. This is not war, this is justice. It was a reminder that humanity's fight was about more than revenge. It was about survival and honor. Alien leaders scrambled to understand what was happening. How could Earth, once silent and broken, now control entire battlefields with such precision? Their fleets were outmatched, their strategies useless against the new Terran technology and tactics. The Council's greatest warriors fell, not to overwhelming numbers but to careful planning and unexpected power. On the front lines, Commander Rhea Cade led the charge. Her calm voice guided pilots through dangerous attacks and retreats. She remembered Novastone, the broken treaty, and the silence that followed. Every victory was a step closer to making sure nothing like that would happen again. The galaxy watched in shock as the human fleet grew stronger and more confident. Worlds that once mocked Earth now begged for mercy. The Council, once proud and untouchable, found themselves on the defensive, but the humans showed no mercy. Their rule was clear. Never again would they be silenced or betrayed. As the Terran, ships moved through the stars. Their blue glow became a symbol. It was the color of hope for humanity and a warning to anyone who dared threaten Earth. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. Now the sky itself burned with the power of their brilliant revenge. The war was far from over. But with every planet taken and every enemy defeated, humanity proved one thing. When betrayed, they did not break. They fought back harder than anyone expected. The war had raged for months, but the final battle was about to begin. The Galactic Council's forces gathered their remaining strength for one last stand, a massive fleet meant to crush humanity, once and for all. But Earth was ready. Their ships, weapons, and soldiers had grown stronger with every fight. This was not just a battle for survival. It was a fight for the future. Commander Rhea Cade stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, her eyes fixed on the swirling battlefield ahead. The stars blinked cold and distant, but in her heart burned a fire that would not die. She remembered Novastone, the broken treaty, and the silence that followed. Now it was time to end the silence with a roar. The battle began suddenly, like a storm unleashed. Ships clashed with explosions that lit up space. Lasers cut through darkness, and engines roared as fighters dodged and weaved. But the Terran fleet fought with discipline and purpose. Every move was calculated, every strike precise. They were no longer the betrayed. They were the hunters. The Council's forces struggled to keep up. Their weapons were powerful, but outdated compared to the humans' new technology. Their ships were larger but slower, unable to match the speed and skill of the Terran pilots. Slowly, the tide turned. In the heart of the fight, Commander Cade led a daring strike team toward the Council's flagship. The enemy's great ship was the symbol of their power, the final obstacle between Earth and peace. With nerves of steel, Cade's team slipped past shields and defenses, fighting their way inside. Explosions rocked the ship as Cade's team planted charges in the engine room. The countdown began. They had only minutes to escape before the ship would be destroyed. As alarms blared and the enemy scrambled, Cade sent one last message. The treaty is broken. So is your power. Yamre's flagship exploded in a brilliant flash, lighting up the darkness like a new star. The remaining Council fleets faltered, then retreated, unable to face a humanity that would never be broken again. Back on Earth, the people watched the skies with hope. The war was over, but the lesson was clear. Trust must be earned, not given. And when betrayed, humanity's revenge was brilliant, silent, and unstoppable. The treaty was broken once, but humanity's spirit was never broken, and the stars would remember that for all time.